Welcome to Comic Station, issue number 61 for February 26th for 2014. And let's get started with...
Alright, the first one I'm going to look at is from Dark Horse Comics. This is called Pariah. This is the number 1. I kind of went back and forth in between really loving this and really hating it while I was reading it, which is
that's not
kind of weird. It's a bunch of kids got sent out onto a space station and they're living there without any adult supervision, and basically everything starts to shut down in the space station. So they're in a crisis situation, trying to figure out what to do, what's going on. It was more suspenseful than full of action. So if you're a fan of sci-fi, this is definitely good for you. If you like reading things like Star Trek or watching things of that nature where it's a little bit more mental and not so action-packed, then this is good for you. Cool. The art is very drab in it, which at first I was like, oh, gross, I don't feel like looking at this. But in the same token, it really conveyed like the loneliness and desperation of what was going on in here, and also how it might feel to be in space. So yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on it.
Okay. The first one I have, I'm actually going to go with Superman, Lois Lane #1, mostly just because it's probably the big title from DC Comic for #1s this week, for me anyways. It is a one-shot, as we know. Superman is now with Wonder Woman, so don't really see much Lois Lane. This gets you a little bit of her, although as a one-shot, I'm kind of 50-50 on this too. While she has some really BA moments, she's really pretty cool. She does some sleuthing. She doesn't rely on Superman because she's not really with him anymore. So you see a lot of the investigative skill in her, but the writing just it just dragged for me. So otherwise, the artwork was very nice. She does have moments, but it just didn't quite grab me.
Was there a bunch of those aliens in there?
They're not aliens, actually, and that's a little mystery. There's a little mystery in here, but she may be related to one or two of them.
Oh, okay.
Oh my.
So,
Right.
I'm just going to completely throw everyone off the trail on this one, but so read it and check it out.
Alright. I have the X-Files Conspiracy, Transformers #1.
I did the Ninja Turtle ones last week.
The art in it is fairly decent. It's not my favorite, but I do like Transformers nonetheless, and if you do like Transformers, this is good for you because it is pretty formula. Basically, you know, the Autobots are on Earth, and they need to come out of hiding to protect the planet, and they need to team up with some of the locals. So you get your formula story there starting off in this issue. I assume it's going to go on to, you know, some more fighting and whatnot.
Does it have a little cameo with Mulder or Scully in there, like the Ninja Turtle one did?
They did
one
have
panel.
Mulder and like one panel.
One panel.
But yeah, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, same as the Ninja Turtles.
So I have our Marvel Now for this week. This is The Fall of the Fantastic Four. I really dug this. The art in this was really pretty and really nice to look at. It was very poppy. Like the action in it was conveyed really well, and that really impressed me on how action-packed the action was. Storyline-wise, it's mostly Sue is kind of narrating it, and this is almost kind of a prequel, or I would say almost more like a Zero issue, because it's kind of the leading up to what is going to happen. And I don't know how long this is going to be. I didn't check, but I'm really interested to find out, and I don't want to do any spoilers for anybody, but it definitely grabbed me, and I'm interested to read further in it. One thing I will spoil for you is that there is more than one dragon creature with pants on.
Yes.
Oh!
I'm very excited to
Very
see
spoiled.
that.
Do you think FF fans or other people that have been reading others Fantastic Four would like?
I think like I said, that where we're saying this should almost be a Zero is because it would be more of a good introduction to people that weren't familiar with it. If you didn't know who the characters were already, it really kind of backtracks and goes through and explains, kind of not overly. Like, it didn't bore me. I wasn't turning pages or not reading bubbles, but I think it's very good for new readers, and I think you know, old readers, if they want to kind of get back into it and just enjoy it, it's you know, it's an easy read.
Okay. We're gonna have a little contest of which one has the most disgusting displays.
I got
and,
Spoiler alert, mine wins.
I got off lucky this week.
Yeah. This comic is from Image Comic. This is One Hit Wonder. It is a child star decides to become a hitman within Hollywood. So he takes a very public display of his skills in the first part of this book, and the rest of it is just kind of going about his business. And while he is a despicable person, he is kind of likable. It's really weird. He's a despicable guy, but you kind of like him. He does have some morals. There is a deleted scenes at the end of this that I actually liked. It did get a little bit more of his morality shown in that one, even though it was black and white. Kind of actually liked the best. And yes, parental advisory. And I liked it. It was interesting. I don't quite know where it's gonna go at the end of this doesn't quite jive with a longer series, so I don't know how long the series is going to be. But parental sticker on here, and strangely enough, the one that really deserves it doesn't seem to have one.
Ooh.
It says for mature readers, and
oh yeah, in tiny little red letters, so nobody will read it.
You know, you could open to just about any page in this and know that it's not for your children.
This is like a Hellraiser kind of.
This one's cute and all, but you know. Faceless people.
What was the review you did?
No faces. People getting their faces cut off. We have nudity. We have boobs. We have porn.
Yeah, that was the 3-word review. Was no faces, porn, and boobs. So
lots of
good
gross sex and gross.
Gross.
I don't know which pictures
does it have
from.
a story?
I don't know which pages you're gonna show them, but
maybe you might just.
I'm gonna show you maybe like a field of dandelions.
You might have to.
We're gonna replace all the boobs with dandelions.
You'll definitely have to.
But
if you like
how
gory
is the
action,
story anyways?
If you like gory action, you'll probably enjoy it. I do not.
It has a story.
And I guess enough, but
so it's faceless boobs.
You're a sick puppy. This one's for you.
Yeah. If you can get past all of that, there's probably a story in there somewhere for you.
Alright, well, since we got that wonderful image burned into our mind, we're going to go with another toy this week, and you'll see why in our review section, but really this is Play Arts Collection Kai. They do some great action figures and toys, and this is Tomb Raider, of course, and
it's nice. She looks very posable. She's got lots of interchanging hands, so that she
has
can
her
use
bow and arrow. It's
all
the
of her
year of the
different
bow.
accessories.
For all you Lara Croft fans, get it.
Yep, it has a handgun, a shotgun, a climbing axe, and a bow, as you would find in the game.
Yeah, the clothes look very realistic.
The clothes is fantastic. The face is really nice. The pants are really great. The arms are they're just bulbs of...
Yeah, well, they went to make
articulation.
her super posable, which you're gonna have to sacrifice some visual integrity for that.
The arms and the wrist, which is nice. The wrist,
good.
Yeah,
it's actually neat that they have opposable, like the movable wrist and everything. That's a nice little feature, but it really does make it kind of especially compared to the rest of like the legs and everything, since they're not as opposable or really well done. But everything else looks really nice, and Playkai always does a great job on their toys and their action figures and everything, and I just love everything Playkai does. But, yeah, I mean, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, you're going to have a lot of fans. There's little blurbs about it, a little profile, but overall, you're just going to have fun putting her in poses.
and if you didn't get enough of her from the toy, Lito has got a review for us this week.
There you go, tie-in.
Yep, of Tomb Raider. So let's check that out.
Tomb Raider #1 from Dark Horse Comics, the long-awaited team-up of Lara Croft and Gail Simone. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan. I thought it was kind of lackluster. Maybe it's the pedigree behind this one, or maybe it's the style of stories being told in it, but this was a real disappointment for me. Sadly, most of the issue, instead of being taken up with high-stakes adventure and action and intrigue like you'd expect from a Tomb Raider comic, is a lot of slow, mopey scenes from Lara complaining about her survivor's guilt, as the title so proudly proclaims. At the same time, it also undoes all of her character development from the video game this is meant to be a sequel to, taking her from the strong place she was at the end of that game to a much more weaker and fragile one here. It also assumes that you've played that game and really are invested in Lara's character from it, because it gives us no reason to really invest or sympathize with her if we're coming into this cold as a new reader. All we know of her from this comic is as someone who complains about her boat and her island a lot, and I do mean a lot. Most of this comic is taken up with it. There are about 3 to 5 pages in the opening of actual action, but by the 6th page they're all completely negated, and it goes by pretty quickly. Also, the ending introduces a weird element of magic that isn't in the new rebooted continuity. I understand that it might have been part of the system before, but it's just weird that it's brought up so quickly and casually without much fanfare about the fact that it is now part of the Tomb Raider mythology once more. Overall, as I said, there's a good chance this comic is just a victim of its own high standards, that we would expect so much from Gail Simone coming to such a big-name project, that if it's not great, then we're going to proclaim it bad. But I wouldn't even proclaim this good, or even pretty good. Overall, it's not just disappointing, it was mediocre, to say the least. Sorry to say, but I'd give it a miss. Check out my review if you want to see more details. It's been about a month. Let's check back in with Serenity, Leaves on the Wind from Dark Horse Comics, follow-up to the cult sci-fi TV show Firefly by Joss Whedon. Sad to say, this second issue is a little less than stellar, and could have been a lot stronger overall. Don't get me wrong, there are good parts in it, and parts I very much liked, but those parts are relegated more to the first half of the issue, stuff dealing with the direct fallout of issue 1, where the second half felt a lot more condensed and compressed, and definitely for the comic's detriment. There's a lot more things that are going on, and plot points and plot directions just crammed into the last third of the book, that really feel like they could have used their own entire issue to explore and expand upon. As it stands, they end up very quickly thrown at you, to the point where they don't really feel like they have the impact they honestly should. Where the first issue was much more grounded in dealing with the direct fallout of the Serenity movie, this one now feels like it's lost sight of that bigger picture and has become more and more microscopic on the various layers and levels of problem solving the team will need to solve the string of dominoes that's been created by one central problem. The artwork is overall pretty good, and there's been some improvement in drawing faces, which was a complaint I had last time around, although I do have to complain that the cover is a complete lie. That never happens in the comic. I just feel like the story could stand to take its time a little bit more, be a little bit more relaxed and leisurely with how it plans to expand on a lot of these very new and weird elements, even for fans of the series, as new things are being brought in, and at times taken out as soon as they enter into the plot. But this is just sort of me here, and I think this is more because of how good the first issue was as opposed to how bad this one is, because it's really not that bad. It's pretty decent overall. And I would still recommend it, but maybe not as wholeheartedly as I would have liked to, or might have done if it had given itself a little bit more of a wide berth. Check out my reviews if you want more details. Dark Horse's new series, Vandroid, is apparently an adaptation of an unmade 80s film of the same name, after an accident caused the studio that was set to make it to be engulfed in flame. Dark Horse, however, has chosen to spit in the eye of this act of God by producing this comic, and oh glory be to us that they did, because it is amazing. Bonkers, but amazing. The basic plot revolves around Taylor, a sleazy programmer and Jesus impersonator based on his designs, who creates a killer AI, like you do. He wants to sell it for profit, but since it's housed a chassis that's less intimidating than Nomad, he seeks out his friend Chuck, a washout who used to make custom vans in the 70s, but now doesn't because, well, that only could have happened in the 70s. Together, they create the Vandroid. I'm not exactly sure how someone like Chuck, who makes custom vans, is able to make artificial skin and a nuclear-powered walking robot, but he does. Forget it, whatever. And eventually, like all robot abominations, it destroys its creator and assumes his identity, thus giving us the series Vandroid. Where do I start? Where do I finish? What do I even say about this series other than the summation I just gave? Well, I can say it's certainly unclear if it's in on the joke or not. A lot of the times, it seems like they almost are kind of going for parody, but then they pull back and go full serious at other moments. It really does feel like two different people are working on this project. One who actually is approaching it to be a very sincere and legitimate thing, and the other who likes a more tongue-in-cheek approach. Either way, regardless of whether people are in on the joke, it's still a hilarious read. And there is a degree of passion to it that makes it fun to actually read, and not just mock as you go through it. Though there is plenty to mock. I could go through this panel by panel making fun of it. I'd actually recommend it as a good so bad it's good, or just kind of nonsensical fun read. I don't know, it's the sort of crazy we just don't get to see every day, and that's worth picking up, I think. Check out my written review if you want to see more.
Thank you so much, Lido, for those reviews. This has been Comic Station number 61?
I know.
We're getting up there.
We're working our way to 100.
Yes. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching. Keep the comments coming. We love them. And we will see you back here next week. Same bad time, same bad place.
See you next week.